Most agents stop working and celebrate once the deal is done. But top agents know that that's the time to start working even harder. Today we're talking about the most profitable call that you're probably not even making and how you can turn one deal into your next opportunity. This is episode 246 of Commercial Real Estate Leadership. My name's Darren Krakowiak. This is the show that's helping you to lead better, grow faster, and stress less. And I had a little bit of a stressful time when I was traveling interstate the week before last because my iPhone went through all sorts of problems. I had the Apple Pay freezing on me, I just couldn't get Apple Pay to work. So I kind of realized there was a problem just before I left for the airport when I was at the coffee shop and I couldn't pay, but I had my wallet on me luckily, so I got to pay. But then I got to the airport and I was trying to find my boarding pass or my Apple Pay and it wouldn't come up. So I had to go into the Virgin app and luckily it was there. So I thought, okay, it's fine. And then I noticed I couldn't book an Uber when I arrived in Perth. And I thought, oh, okay, so I'll just catch the train because Perth's got a great train that runs from the airport right into the city, close to where I was staying. But then I just couldn't pay for anything on my Apple Pay because my Apple Pay was completely frozen. And also my Uber app, I figured out the only way to book an Uber was for me to delete the Uber app from my phone, to reinstall it, to re-sign in, and then it would let me book an Uber. And I had to then do that every time I wanted to book an Uber. And you can imagine how stressful and frustrating this was when I was interstate for 3 days. But I did remember that if this is the biggest problem that I have in my life, then I've got a pretty lucky life. So it didn't get me down too much, but it did remind me of just how important and how ubiquitous your iPhone or your device can be. And the two things I learned, one was good that I took my money and my actual plastic cards with me when I travel interstate. The other thing though was after trying all of the things to get my phone reset, including to reset the settings, restoring the factory settings, completely restoring the old save version of none of these things worked, right? The only thing that worked to fix my iPhone was upgrading to iOS 26, which is the whole new version. So I did finally get it fixed, but it was a whole week. I missed people's messages. It was a disaster. But like I said, if that's the biggest problem that you have in life, then maybe your life isn't so bad. Just a little personal story I thought I'd share. Hey, the other day in Agent Accelerator, which is our program for commercial real estate agents, we had about 25 people in the monthly performance tracking session, which is at the start of the month. We track people's goals. We keep them accountable to the production, development, and freedom goals that they've set. And I always try and provide a little bit of insight and some additional, tactics to help people improve their results. And one of the things that I asked everyone on this call is, do you make results calls after a deal is done? Put a 1 in the chat if you do, and put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Everyone came back with 2s. Not one single person was doing results calls. And I also presented the idea of doing results calls at the 2 seminars that I presented at for the Real Estate Institute of Western Australia and also of New South Wales a couple of weeks ago. And I got great feedback about this idea. In fact, someone even emailed me after the event and said, I'm going to start doing results calls. Thank you for sharing that great idea. So what is a results call? I thought I'd share it with you in today's episode. A results call is a short, purposeful call that you make to people in your database who might find your recently closed transaction interesting or relevant. Now, this is stock standard practice in residential real estate, but I want you to start doing this as part of your routine after you close a deal. Because if I told you that you invested, let's say 1 hour to get your next listing, then you would probably invest that hour if it was going to lead to a listing. And it can even lead to more than one listing. So if you're willing to invest 1 hour to get your next listing, then following this process is going to be a great use of your time. So why would you want to make results calls? I think the reason why you would is because it's really showing how relevant you are in the marketplace. It's proof. When you call someone, you tell them about the result that you are responsible for achieving for your client. It's showing that you are relevant to them, as long as you're calling the right people, of course. It demonstrates your authority as well. It shows that you're doing deals, and that helps you build trust and credibility with people who you would like to see as your future clients, or with people who are already your clients, to maintain and nurture those relationships. You've got to make sure you get the timing right. And, the latest information that you can offer, I think, taps into something that people are interested in. And that is what the market is doing right now, particularly for existing owners. And if you've got the timely information because you're the one who's done the deal, then they can hear about it from you first. But perhaps most importantly, when you do make a results call, you are going to find yourself in a conversation in a natural, non-salesy way, and that creates a connection with that person. And ultimately, conversions happen in conversations. So if you've got a great reason, I call them triggers, a reason or a trigger to call someone, then you always want to use that as an opportunity to move the relationship forward. Now, you don't have to call up everyone that you know to tell them about the result. We just want to focus on people who are most likely to care about the transaction results. So a list of people might include nearby owners, including the ones that you usually wouldn't speak to. Maybe you don't call certain people because they're not your client and you don't want to be seen as intruding on a competitor's relationship. Well, if you've done the deal and you've got information that would be useful to that person, it's like your responsibility to call them. You're only calling them to give them results. So I would recommend that you make that call. You can also call all the people who were interested in the campaign, those buyers who missed out, and you can show them how diligent you are, and they'll remember that when they're looking for someone to appoint as an agent, because some buyers on campaigns are also people who are just interested in selling their own property, right? They're just having a little bit of a nose around and they're potential future clients. You also want to let your referrers know, people in your network who send you opportunities, because that gives the people who send you leads something to talk about to the people that they would be likely referring to you. And it's also going to trigger their memory of relevant owners who might be looking for the information that you're offering. And of course, you can also make these results calls to local business operators who are actively watching the market. They can become potential referrers in the future because you're giving them the currency of information. So have a look through your CRM. It's not just a database. Really, your CRM is this gold mine of people who already have some context, some interest or influence, and they're the ones that you want to get this information in front of. And if your CRM is segmented appropriately, it's going to be even easier for you to find the most relevant people to call. So what do you want to say on these results calls? I think it's pretty simple. First of all, you just want to share the results. So it's, hey Darren, I just wanted to let you know that we've just sold 123 Main Street to an investor for $1.65 million. Okay? So you share the result, then you share the insight or the so what. And it might be, we've had 46 inquiries, 12 inspections, and 3 bidders at auction. And that shows there's really strong demand still for retail assets on the Main Street strip. And then you ask a question or you invite conversation. So what do you think this result might mean for your property at wherever their property is? So this is not a script, it's a conversation, right? But the framework of the conversation is share the results, so deliver the value, then provide an insight, tell them so what, and then ask them a question which gets them talking. So now you're in a conversation. And I think the sooner that you can make these results calls after the deal is done, the better. Business loves speed, and when you've got speed behind you, you get momentum. So I'd say within 48 hours of going unconditional, you should be looking to make these results calls. And once the deal can't fall apart and, loose lips sink ships, right? So as long as you don't have to be confidential anymore, you're not broadcasting it from your LinkedIn or you're not sending out a newsletter blast, you're just calling up some people who are likely to be interested in the result. So put this into your checklist, right? Put it in the list of things that should be done once the contract of sale is executed. Put making your results calls as one of the things that you do as part of that follow-up process. In terms of the number of people that you'd want to call, I'm going to say 10. Okay, so 10 calls per transaction would be a good number of results calls. If you've got more people who you know would be interested, I think that's going to be an excellent investment of your time. Your next prospecting block could be reserved for making the results calls on the back of the transaction that you've just performed. And add it to your process, because if it's not in your process, it probably won't get done. So the point here is that every transaction tells a story, and you want to make sure that you're the one telling the story if you did the deal. You want to tell it directly, personally, and with purpose, and don't let other agents take credit for your deals because you're not making the results calls. I've heard some agents complain that, oh, how come they're talking about this transaction in their marketing? That's my deal. I did the deal. Well, if you're not talking about it, then you're almost giving other people permission to claim credit for it because you haven't claimed it first. Now, obviously, if that other agent's going around saying they did the deal, that would be completely unethical and wrong and not acceptable. But I don't think there's anything wrong with them just purveying information in the market. Your job is to purvey the information, but also to let people know that you're the one who did the transaction. So you're the one who's got the information first and can provide that additional insight that someone who's just got the result without everything that happened in the campaign would know. So next time you post a just sold tile on social media, I hope that you have already at that stage made some results calls. Think about your VIPs. They're the ones who deserve to have the information first. Pick up the phone, make the call, and let people know about the result that you have achieved. If you like the idea of doing results calls, it's one of the things, just little thing that we went over in one of our recent calls inside CRE Success Agent Accelerator. If you want to build the habit and set the standard to do things like this that are going to create more opportunities in your pipeline, the first step to making that happen is jumping on the waitlist at cresuccess.co/waitlist. When you do that, you'll be the first to be invited to our next cohort. And our next cohort, by the way, is our Black Friday Cyber Monday cohort. And we have got a fantastic opportunity for you to join at this time. It's going to be a great offer. So if you want to get the details of that, cresuccess.co/waitlist is the place to go. That's our episode for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you soon.